Hi everyone, it's Killshot99 Gaming. This is The Walking Dead Season 9, Episode 9. Negan is back. Yes, we're going to talk about it. This was number 2 on my survey that I did with the Patreons a couple days ago. Well, maybe it was yesterday even. They want to talk about Michonne, and we had a really good in-depth discussion last night. We kind of funneled that all the way through, had some good momentum, and of course you guys know what happened at the end of the video. But it was still a very good, engaging conversation, and we will pick that up over the next couple weeks. I didn't think we finalized it, but we did get some ideas out there. I want to thank each and every one of you for being here last night, also being here tonight. I see just a lot of random chat going on. This reminds me of a random things topic. There's some comic chat. There's some super chats already. I see Scott Kernan talking about episode number 174. Haven't gotten there, Scott, but we will talk about some Negan Maggie interaction. You guys are talking about hair bands and 80s bands and who you're going to see and all of the above. Like Def Leppard, Guns N' Roses. I get up around 7, get out of bed around 9. Yeah, we'll do a little bit of... if you guys want some random things, then we will be kicking that. I think we're going to do that next week. I've kind of been missing it a little bit, so if you guys don't know what random things is, we do pick a Walking Dead topic, and we throw a whole lot of other topics, whether it's music or news, any of those things, but we just try to keep it fun and light and interesting. So we'll do that. So be ready. Make sure you guys are I can't say it, subscribed and stay tuned, and we'll get into it. I got Beta, the Chosen One. Oh, man, he went from Sergeant Chosen One to Beta Chosen One. We got some whispers out there. Also, Valar, Hello 999 Army, Kill, Steph, Kales, Emmy, Sweet Tommy, sponsors, patrons, and, of course, a boatload of super chatters up in here. And who else we got? We got Hippo. Oh, boy. Is this the moment we've been waiting on? Here it is. This is called the H-Bomb. This is the Hippo announcement. And he went full scale. He went like super duper super chat here. I'm super excited to announce that Hippo will be in the house December 8th and 9th, representing the 999 Army at Walker Stalker, New Jersey, wearing my 999 Army shirt. Hope to acquire video shout-outs from Daryl, Negan, the King, Jesus. You know what? That will be that'll be impressive. And we will definitely put that video up on the any shout-outs we get, we'll put it up on the website. And or put it on the YouTube site. So thank you for that, Hippo. That's awesome. You guys give me a quick like a hell yeah or a 999 or Hippo. Actually, give me a Hippo, HIPPO, just for that super chat and what Hippo is going to accomplish. Show him a little bit of love and support. And Michael Curie says, don't get to do this often. Thank you, Kills and Mods and Army, for actually being here. Hey, Michael, thank you. Glad that you're here as well. So look at this. That is that's some teamwork right there. So you got the backing of the entire group behind you, Hippo. So we're looking forward to that. So don't get up there and cheese it out, man. You better get a good shout out like you did with Ross and with Seth as well. All right, so we are going to transition into a little bit of tonight's topic. So let me say this. We will start out with a topic, but we'll jump around a little bit. I mean, that's how we do it. It's we go with whatever the flow is. So Negan is back. I know there are one of my moderators is is one of them. Very outspoken, still anti-Negan. I've softened up my approach a little bit. I was, probably one of the first out there really saying, no way, I can't ever deal with him. But I did give a list of criteria that would ultimately get me interested in his storyline. So, this is Matt Moore. Negan burned my butt and steam shot out my ears. I'm a little teapot. I'm inclined to read that. So I won't sing I'm a teapot, but I'll definitely read the super chat. So appreciate that. Sheila and a few others saying Negan still makes her nervous. Well, I think you have a right to be nervous. Emmy and I saw one of her posts the other day, and oddly enough, we're pretty aligned on our thought process to this. I think it was Emmy. where we feel like Negan is reformed and he's sort of paid his dues and he's going to go over to the good side, but they're going to drag it out and make him seem a little bit evil. But I'm going to add something to that. I think it might be drug out a little bit longer than we realize. Like, for example, I think we're still going to be wondering. Now, ultimately, I will lay down the gauntlet and say Negan will become a good guy. I really feel that way. But I don't think it's going to be right away. Actually, I think it's going to be a few episodes in to where you see him, creep up the stairs with Judith. Then you see him go to Sanctuary and you're thinking like, wait a minute, he's still up to no good. Something's going down. And if I've not read this far, so once again, I have to call on the resident comic experts out there. I've done a little research on it, and I just want to make sure I'm correct. So in the comic, Negan kind of joins up with the Whisperers. Is that correct? Where he sort of infiltrates and, is a part of what's going on and doesn't agree with what they're doing and has some words and some fallout and those type of things. So he gets involved with them. Just want to make sure I'm on point with that. You guys know I'm on episode 107. I'm not that far in yet. Okay, we're good. So that would translate, I think, very well to television. Scott Kernan with a super chat says they could go comic route, in which he does leave. So, and that's kind of right. And that is not a spoiler at this point. I mean, some people might not know this, but even though I don't read the comics, I know this. So, yes, he does end up being the one that beheads Alpha. Now, that's been mentioned, and I will say that I'm not positive that that'll happen. I'm not positive that it'll be Negan. It could be Daryl, or it might not even happen at all. They could keep them around for a little while, especially if they want to extend that storyline and make it much, much different. Right. Trouble Down. I agree with you, but I'm only hiding that message because of the language used in it, and it is a flag word. So, but I get exactly what you're saying. So, we kind of have an idea of the way the comics might play out, but we also, I think there's going to be a mystery around it. And a lot of times these mysteries are for the people who don't know the spoilers and the people that don't know the comics, which is probably only about 20% of the viewers. There's probably 80% of the viewers that know one or the other, and have a stronger opinion. Which still, I mean, that's a good percentage that just kind of wants to be in the dark a little bit. And for that, I do think that Negan might just stay out on his own for a little bit. He might join them. He might pretend to join them. He might leave it vague enough for those viewing still don't trust him. I do think it's to the writer's advantage to leave doubt around Negan as long as the viewers can stomach it. And by that, I mean, I don't think they're going to have him kill anyone. I don't think they're going to have him do some act of brutality. But at the same time, I don't think that they're going to show him change. Now, I do think he's changed for a couple of reasons. One, I think the conversation with Judith was very real. Number two, he was trying to put up that tough front and really get under Father G's skin, and he just couldn't do it. There were like multiple insults he threw out there, and when Father G said, Rosita is, she's injured, and he said, I'm sorry, man. It wasn't lip service. He doesn't need to give lip service at this point. He doesn't need to it's not like somebody's going to let him out. He's going to be who he is at that point, and I don't think he could be word I'm looking for. Just really, really, genuinely rude. That's the only way I can kind of articulate it. He's being rude to not let anyone get close to him. He's hurt. He's changed and he's hurt, and right now he's putting up this barrier to keep people out. He doesn't want to be exposed any more than he already has been. He's locked up, he's completely helpless, and now the only thing he has left is what little bit of pride that he has left. So Father G's trying to get to it, and he says, if I keep going, I might find a human. I might find someone underneath. And I think he's already there. Posturing. That would probably be, maybe that's a better word. Yeah, I don't, Steph, the reason I don't agree with it, I don't think it's an act. Because there's nothing, I think he's already resided to the fact he's going to be in prison forever. So once you get to that point, it's just, give me the basics, give me what I need, I'm going to be locked up forever, and talk to me if I want to be talked to, but I don't think he needs sympathy. It's not going to get him a television. It's not going to get him a steak dinner as opposed to whatever he's been eating. I think he is who he is, and now it's just on him to keep people away. And the thing is, I know people like that, and probably you do too. William Finney, I agree Negan will be out finding himself for a while. I think he really feels he needs to protect Judith, and he would do the same for Carl if he's still alive with Rick gone. I agree with that. I don't know when the need is going to arise in order to do that. However, I think that is a very important story because Michonne's away. What's happening with Judith? Who's watching Judith? Who is that protective entity that is making sure nothing happens to her? And we do know Michonne gets back to Hilltop, but question for the group. Will Michonne get back to Alexandria? Or will the other events take place in succession and she's going to be kept away before she ever gets back? Just something to think about. I don't know that we have the answer to that question at this point. It's one of those mysteries that we'll talk about. But if Negan is out and Michonne comes back, then I think Negan stays gone. If Michonne is preoccupied with capturing Lydia and then the Whispers show up right away, then Michonne's still at Hilltop, then Negan might, at some point, it might dawn on him, dawn, pun, fully intended, that he needs to be back before dawn. And that somebody does need to be there. Just some things that we want to toss out. And, don't assume that he doesn't know what's going on. I mean, I'm sure he hears enough rumors. He knows. And he'll know more. I mean, he knows Rosita's been injured. And one thing he's thinking probably is like, whoa, wait a minute. Who's tough enough to hurt Rosita? That's got to have him a little bit worried. It's got to have him curious as well. So, I want to throw this question out, and this is a real question. A lot of times we do tie in The Walking Dead to real life circumstances to a certain degree. I'll get that one second because I got Kay Hensley super chatting, says Negan has more pride over prejudice. That's my view. Well, he does have a lot of pride. One thing I'll say is that, well, and I don't know this from experience. Sorry. One thing that I will assume is that prison can probably affect that pride quite a bit. Now, he wasn't in your typical prison. His has probably been more like a solitary confinement type of thing. But whatever he had, I'm sure it's draining out fairly quickly. Whatever confidence he had, whatever self-esteem he had, whatever ego he had built up, and his he was a womanizer, and probably to a point where he harassed people. So, I mean, there are crimes beyond just what he did. But in part of that, part of his character was his self-esteem and his self-confidence. And you got to think that that's kind of been bled out. And that might have been a lot of Rick's purpose, is to break all of those things that were so despicable about him and break him down. Kitty Cat says, thanks for letting us patrons vote on last night's topic. Much fun, very enjoyable. Hey, you're absolutely welcome. And I will tell you, Kitty Cat, we're going to do that again because there's a lot of different things that I want to talk about. And I know sometimes it's random, and we'll do it with our random things as well. But patrons are going to be involved in probably one of the weekly chats that we do. So we'll definitely see more of that. All right. So we've got a little bit of a timetable. We've got how things could happen with Negan. Does he... I see it going down maybe 3 different ways. Remember, funnel philosophy. 1, Negan gets back because he doesn't have it better anywhere else. He just wants to reminisce. He wants to see how things have changed. Wants to feel like I built this up, and, you know, kind of like where you grew up as a kid. That's one option. Option 2, some things go down and Negan pretends to get involved with the Whispers. Or option 3, he wants to get away and he does get in with the Whispers and then changes his mind at some point. I see any of those 3 kind of going down because at this point, what does he have? Does he have jail, or does he have looking for something else? Now, before I get into one of the theories I'm going to throw out there tonight, I want to get back to kind of the psychology of Negan. How many people have a friend or an acquaintance that lies? Just randomly lies about things. Say, you know they don't have a certain thing, or you know that they didn't accomplish a certain thing, or you know that it's just something out there, but they do it to add self-worth, to make them bigger than what they really are. Right? We all probably know people like that. And you don't always call them out. You don't always expose them. Sometimes you accept it, even though you know it's wrong. And I'll get to Super Chat in a second because I really want to finish this thought. How many people, in addition to that, know people who, you know, and a lot of times they'll say, and it could be more of an inferiority complex where they don't feel like they belong. But how many people do you know, or do you know of people that are just a little bit rude or borderline rude just because they want to keep you away? They don't want people to get to know them. Tommy says friends don't lie. Tommy, my man, everybody lies at some time or another. All right, so back to, okay, so a lot of people know that. So that's where I see the character development of Negan at this point. And I think it's very, very real that we get to see this unfold and we get to experience this transition. It says a lot about where we are as our own personal convictions. Convictions, there's another pun. But our personal beliefs. Some people are eager to let Negan get a pass. Some people are going to hold it a little bit longer. And some people, it doesn't matter what happens, they're never going to let it go. And it's very similar to life. And I don't want to get too far into it, but this was a very interesting story to me as it sort of unfolded. So I'll get back to that topic in a second because I got a couple super chats. Hippo, my 999 family means as much to me as my blood, and his insane clown posse family getting a 99. Whoa, hold on now. Wait a minute. I gotta pause this video for a second. Getting a 999 tattoo soon. See you guys. Wow. Can't wait to rep 999 at Walker Stalker. I'm a little taken back by that. This might be... Well, let me ask this question. Do any of you have 999 tattoos? If you do, let me know, because this might be a first. If any of you went out there and got a 999 tattoo, no one's messaged me about it. You know what? I hope it doesn't turn into one of those, like, ex-girlfriend type of things where he leaves here and goes over to PT channel and then has to have his 999 made into a PT. Oh, that won't happen. But yeah, Hippo, that you just warmed my heart by that. So definitely, I want to see pictures posted of that. That is wow. You know what? We've made it. I think of all the things, all the goals you have whenever you start doing a YouTube channel is to have someone get your logo tattooed. You know what? It makes it easier than wearing the shirt whenever you go to Walker Stalkers. You can just kind of roll up the sleeve and say, "Look who I rep." That is awesome stuff. Trouble Down Productions super chatting says, when Negan gets to Sanctuary and no one is there, I think he'll head back to Alexandria. On the way back, he'll run into the Whispers, try to blend in when it goes south. I like that. That is definitely a possibility, a strong possibility. I'm going to write that down because I do want to touch on that. Thanks, Trouble Down. We're going to expand that theory. Maybe he was just coming back and wanted to hang out with everybody and was going to, reside to being jailed, and then he actually had to, kind of like, remember the guy in Die Hard when Bruce Willis went on top of the building and the guy was smoking the cigarettes and he just sort of ran upon him, and his name was what was his name? Clay. He had to look at the thing. It was Hans Gruber. And he looked at it and he goes, "What's your name?" And he goes, "Clay. Bill. Clay." And he just had to blend in all of a sudden. So, yeah, maybe Negan is, he has to blend in. Because it said William Clay, like on the side of the wall. Yep. Yeah, you guys know what I'm talking about. So, yeah, it could be like a little bit of a mini callback to that. Check it out. It's classic. Great holiday movie. All right, I think I'm caught up with the super chats. They just jump in there. Well, and I will say this, and I don't. You do have to be careful how you get the 999 tattoo. Just for obvious reasons. It's not a PTP. Or, I'm sorry, a PPP. Did I say PT? It's not a PPP like the Whispers. Unless you hold a mirror up to it. Yeah, see? A lot of people are saying best Christmas film ever. You know what, Sheila, what a great, we'll use this brief moment as a commercial interruption. Everybody, 999 Army, the whole group here, subscribers and new subscribers, people that are permanent part of the channel, new people that become permanent part of this channel after tonight, everybody pike that like button. Hit the like button. Too many people here. Slide the mouse over. Show some love for what we do. And if you don't like what we do, hit the dislike button. Either way, do something. Make a choice. All right, so A couple other options. We talked about, and that was Trouble Down said, maybe Negan comes back. I think he makes it all the way back. But someone brought this up last night. The Fair. Actually, let me give you a fourth scenario. Because I'm still my mind is set on him going back and just, closing the cell and just chilling like nothing ever happened. But if he is out, and he's kind of got asylum because, he's walked around and roamed around. Is there a possibility of a truce? I mean, does Michonne want to just waste the resources if she doesn't think he's out there trying to kill anybody or build up a group? I mean, I don't think there's fear of Negan going out and starting the Saviors Part 2. So even if Michonne were to run into him, do you think that it could probably be worked out? Like, hey, I'm out now. What are you going to do? Okay, well, you haven't killed anybody. Maybe we can just move on. Do you think there's a possibility that it's not like they're going to have the resources to go out on a hunt for him? There's other priorities. And Scott super chatting says, could we have a bottle episode focused on Negan? Scott, I think that bridge is burned. I think the backstory would already happen. I think they've told enough of the backstory, between him and Father G. I don't see it happening. I could see a mini series or something if AMC really wanted to milk some of the character publicity. But as fast as they've been moving with the story, I don't see bottle episodes. At least I got to be honest, they bothered me. Especially the Morgan one. The Morgan one, I just did not like it. I could not get into it. But yeah, I think they're moving too fast to kind of hit that speed bump. I think it would a little bit of derail the momentum they got going right now. And I think they've got some good, some riled up fans right now. Steve Smitherman says, this stream makes a late night at the office better. Everyone hit that like button. You know what? I'm kind of curious because you asked that. How many people are working right now and are kind of listening at the office? Just got it playing in the background. It's okay. Your boss probably, I don't know, your boss might be watching. But we do have, one thing I'll say that I'm really, really proud of is we've got people from all over the globe, all types of jobs, and I do get that a lot, like, hey, Kills, I do deliveries, or I'm a truck driver, and I listen to this. So, you know what? Thank you. I appreciate you guys actually tuning in and letting me be a part of your nightly routine. And for those of you out there that, this is mostly the Walking Dead fans because that's our group. But I also think that that's our, when we do random things, hopefully that gives you just something else. Just sort of hang out and kill some time with us as well. Awesome. Well, thank you. Glad I got a chance to spend some time with you guys. Scott Kernan. We're going to ask that too. This is like a location. Let me say this, Scott. I did a little research today. 6.7% of our audience is in the UK. And 4.1% of our audience is from Canada. So it's pretty cool, just to let you know the international exposure we have. And if you're international and you want to chime in to Scott's Super Chat, then go ahead and holler. Julie J, a bottle episode it's called a bottle episode, a filler episode, a bridge episode. It's where you got kind of something going along, a story, and then all of a sudden, remember Fear? Remember the John and June flashback? It's usually a flashback type of thing. And then it doesn't always have to be a flashback. But there were some that people liked. Like, I didn't like the John June episode, but a lot of people liked it. I didn't like the Morgan episode. A lot of people loved it. It's just, I didn't like it because it was in between the Glenn episodes. I wanted to see what happened to Glenn, not Morgan. Yeah, I agree with that, Michael. I think you're hyped up because you want to see something. Now, I would be okay with a bottle episode or a filler episode. I mean, they wouldn't do it because, they hype up the mid-season premiere. But I'd probably be more okay with it then. Like, okay, well, then that just basically means I got to wait a week for a real premiere. I'd be okay waiting a week rather than kind of getting excited about what's going to happen next, and then it's a bridge. Randy Walden. They need to take care of developing the new characters and the new norm before making more bottle. Negan is a staff. I agree with that 100%. You can't be arrogant at this time with who they have. They've got some potential with Magna. They got some potential with Yumi. I don't think Luke's going to make it. I think Connie will be around for a while. But, they had some of that, I think, with some of the Oceanside. I think Cindy could have been somebody, and who knows, maybe still somebody could have been developed. But part of the struggle with Fear, the people that didn't love Fear really loved the new characters being rolled out. The people that liked Fear had a harder time with the transition and all the new characters just being thrown on them really quick. So it's just perspective. But I couldn't agree with you more. I think that they've got enough good characters on The Walking Dead that they really need to start to groom the next wave. And we're going to lose a few. So one of the things that we were talking about is whether or not Negan's role in the Whispers, which, as we know, in the comic, he will be the one to take Alpha down. I'm going to ask you your thoughts on that. Let's assume Alpha is taken down. Do you think that's going to be Negan's going to get that like the comic book, or do you think that they're really going to give that honor to Daryl or someone else? I want to see what your thoughts are on that. Michael Curie says, Kills, do you think Beta goes to the fair unmasked? I don't. And I'll tell you why. Because of all the characters that, and maybe the mask is more symbolic. Maybe it's not as much to hide identity. It's to kind of blend in. I mean, you got the Walker suit. But if you do want any type of anonymity, then he's the last person to kind of go there unmasked. Because he's going to be pretty easy to recognize. And he never takes his mask off. Jacob, that's probably more of a random things question, but what's the average age group that watches Kills? My demographic, you're going to think this is interesting. I probably have one of the widest ranges of demographic spans of any channel on YouTube, because doing gaming and then doing conversation about Walking Dead, we're probably 16 to 70. It just depends on the topic. But I'm not going to get anybody's personal business and ask them, where they live and their age or anything. That's all voluntary, whoever wants to throw that out there. But I can relate. I still am not giving up on the concept that Judith... I just think Judith and Negan are going to fight side by side. I just feel that Michonne, if spoilers are correct, and Michonne gets in trouble, that it's going to be Judith that gets Negan and really brings him back into the forefront. It's that last piece of redemption I think that I need. Hopefully that's enough for some of the rest of you. Julie McGuire, what if Alpha or Beta kill Michonne in front of Judy? Ooh, RJ, Negan, Daryl will then kill Alpha or Beta is my guess. Julie, is such a good theory, and I've really tiptoed around that. If you guys have heard from my streams, and I didn't kind of go into it like Julie just did, but I think that's great. In many of the streams, I've hinted that Denai doesn't have a contract. She's a super awesome movie star. And I don't know that she's going to come back. And I also said that a Michonne death would be the most epic death on the show ever. It would just catapult her above every other character. It would be, in my mind, would be the saddest moment in The Walking Dead. So I'm going to ask you this question to follow up with Julie, and I want you to think about this for a second. Of all we've seen, if Michonne were killed by the Whisperers, would it be the saddest moment in the history of The Walking Dead? And if you say no, give me a moment, honestly, that would be more sad. Because I want to read a couple of those comments. You can't give me a no without a follow-up. That's the rules. Don't just give me no. I need something that you would make your argument and say it was more sad. Well, Lewis Grimes, I get it. I'm not saying, whether you cried when Tyrese died. I'm not saying there hasn't been other sad moments. I'm saying if Michonne were to die, think this through and compare it. Do a comparison. I would argue it would be the most moving death on The Walking Dead. If you think it's a close second, that's fine. But regardless, all that she's meant to the show, and those of you saying Glenn, oh, come on, Crazy B. Herschel, Glenn, Carl have not, at this point, because Michonne has kind of lasted a little bit longer, Michonne is right there with them. I mean, Michonne has done a lot more than Glenn. I don't know if you guys realize just from the story arc on the TV show. All right, I got a couple super chats. I really want to get back into this because I can roll up my sleeves for this one. American Pride says, have you already discussed Carl's role with Whispers in the comic? Any chance for Carl return? I'm confused by that one. Well, there's no chance for a Carl return because Carl's dead. Now, Henry will get some of Carl's story arc. American Pride, you threw me off by that, so you're going to have to give me a little bit more specifics. How you mean Carl returning? And Scott Kernan says, no, Carl's death or potentially Daryl's. Right. No, I'm not comparing. I'm not comparing whose death would be the biggest. I would say the same thing. If Daryl died, I would say, yes, it would be the biggest. But we're not talking about Daryl dying. I'm just comparing a potential. Daryl signed for 3 years. Carol signed for 3 years. Denai is not. So maybe she goes off looking for Rick, but she ain't going to leave Judy and RJ behind. So her dying would be an interesting plot. And I think it would be devastating. I got a couple more super chats to jump around to. Trouble Down Production says, Comic Remix, I think Negan will behead Beta to show Daryl he's on their side. Alpha outlives Beta in the show. Possibility. Negan getting the big kill. Hey, Daryl might be a nice... I do like that, and I'll tell you why. Because in the comic, I do know this happens. When Rick beheads Alpha, and he holds the head up and he says, wait till Rick sees this. So what if Beta beats down Daryl pretty good? I do love this. I love that as a prediction, but it's much, much further until we figure out how Negan's going to get in that situation. And Negan kills Beta after Beta does something, who knows? Maybe roughs him up, breaks his nose. And then Negan, to appease Daryl, wait till Daryl gets a look at this. I love that. That would be wonderful. E-Beach, no look at the flowers in Glenn's death. I got a lot of people chiming in on this, so I'm going to get back to that in a second because I think this could be a really heated topic for us. Thomas D., we lost Abe and Glenn at the same time, my two favorites. Abraham's definitely one of my favorites. I didn't think it was sad to see Abraham go, though, because I think Abraham wanted to die, and I think he was the toughest person. So he was kind of doing it for them. To me, it was more gruesome than sad. Scott Kernan, Carl put the show's future in jeopardy. Once again, Scott, I don't want to kind of mix up importance to sadness. I may be wrong on this. I'm not trying to sway you too much. I am trying to make a case, and I'm not going to lie about that. I'm just trying to throw the facts out there. But specifically, I think if Daryl died, it would be the saddest. I think Michonne, and the reason I say that at this point is because the characters have been around longer. We see more of them. We've lived a little bit more through them. Glenn is in the past, and Glenn was only up to a certain level. And now Michonne has, she's got 2 kids, and she's, tried to rebuild the community, and she's got these laws, and we all know what she means to the group at this point. So for her to die and the impact it would have on Judith, I think would be up there. For me, it would be the saddest if it was done the right way. I didn't think some of you said Carl. What was sad about Carl's death? There was like zero sad about it. The only thing to me that was sad about Carl's death is the reactions of the people after he was dead. Seeing how much it affected other people. But the actual death itself, honestly, was just kind of, I wouldn't put Carl up there in the top 3 saddest deaths on the show. Maybe it was sad that he's no longer on the show. And that's where I want to kind of, I know it's semantics, but I kind of, the visualization. Look, I'll give you Glenn. Glenn, the trying to talk to Maggie, what it did to her. Yes, Glenn definitely, you could make that strong case. But then I could make a strong case of what a brutal death. If Alpha decapitated Michonne in front of Daryl or Judith or Negan or any of that. Oh my gosh. That just... I would never be able to watch that episode again. I wouldn't even watch the playback. Scott says, screw it. Sophia's was. It was the first major. Yeah, I'm not going to disagree with that. I do think it was heartbreaking to a certain extent, but I don't know. I mean, I didn't have the... Who here had an attachment to Sophia that was stronger than their attachment to Michonne? Stand up. I want to see you. I want to see who you are. Does anybody here have a stronger attachment to Sophia than Michonne? Or a stronger attachment to Herschel? To this point, Justin, Anna, you must really hate Michonne. Like, if you have a closer attachment to Sophia, who's been gone for like 5 years, than Michonne, who has been like really part of the heart and soul of the show, you don't like Michonne at all, right? You have like zero love. But there you go. That explains it. You don't have to like her, but you can kind of tell. Exactly, Scott. That's my point. Is she died before we met Michonne, and she wasn't a big part of the show. It's just the sadness that there's a kid that died. Which, it counts. I got a super chat here. We got Randy Walton says, I'm 100% for forgiveness and second chances, but who can even think of the possibility of a redeemed Negan becoming Judith's guardian or father? That would be sad in itself, right? Well, part of it is, Randy, Negan wants kids. I mean, that we know, right? He tried with Dwight's wife, but just never came about. That was a really bad pun. But he made spaghetti. He can make some awesome spaghetti. And you can see those attachments he had with Judith and with Carl, and time will tell. Well, Viola, hey, I love the passion. I love the exclamation points. And she might live, but she might not. Darko, she can die. All she has to do is say, I want to go make more movies and write me off the show. And I don't think that they're going to keep opening doors for characters to go out on missions and keep coming back. I don't see... I think 3's enough, okay? We got Heath, who's gone. We got Rick, who's gone. And now we got Maggie. I don't see another major character leaving the show open-ended. I just think at that point, the audience is just going to start to say, that's enough. So they're going to re-sign her, and she's going to be part of the show, but if she decides that she wants to go do other things, they're going to kill her. William Finney, the major deaths when Daryl breakdown got me. Something about Daryl showing true emotions gets me. Daryl is Daryl is a very good crier. It is really, really interesting. You see what? This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this full circle. Because I'm going to use Daryl, and I'm going to use the Guns N' Roses you guys were talking about earlier, and the fact that you said crying, and I'm going to tie it into don't cry. So look at what I'm going to do here. I'm going to take some dough, and I'm going to make some really nice baked bread for all of you. So the Daryl scene where he was in prison reminded me of the video Don't Cry, when Axel was in the grave and he was looking up. Maybe you guys remember this, maybe you don't. If not, go watch the video Don't Cry. And he was like looking at his hands, right? His hands were right in front of him. And the video was Don't Cry. But Daryl was crying and breaking it down. So go back and watch that and you'll see what I'm talking about. Because he even held his hands. It was like almost the same angle, almost the same body language. No, it wasn't the Easy Street, Sarah. It was, I think Easy Street wasn't playing, but it was around that time. But go back and check that out, and then watch the Don't Cry video, and then you'll see kind of what I'm talking about. So yeah, we're kind of going full circle here. But those scenes, you're right about that. Those scenes with Daryl are very moving. It's something about strong characters that break down. Strong characters that we like that break down. Negan broke down in front of Maggie, and I think that was a teaser for the audience. It was like, yeah, I don't really feel that sorry for him. He's getting what he deserves. I don't think it was meant to totally win the audience over and say, you know what, I'm inviting Negan over for dinner and everything's all good then. But I do think it was a little bit of a test. It was a barometer of how many people were going to start to gradually accept him. Got American Pride 7777 says Michonne dying would turn Judith into really tough stuff like it did with Carol. You give me an idea and a concept. I'm going to throw this out. We'll make this the Super Chat Spotlight, so I want to get everybody's insight on this. Can Judith be a staple or a lead for the show? I know many people love her, and they love when she was out there saving people, they melted right away. Could we grow into really giving her, and the writers giving her, the respect that Carl never got? As we start to grow into that character, and we see her now, and we see her, just always being, she is, no doubt she's small, but, kind of what they did with Henry. I mean, Henry is a lot more tolerable now than he was before the time skip. I don't love Henry right now, don't get me wrong, but I don't hate Henry. I'm neutral to Henry. Judith, I love Judith's character, and I could definitely see people gravitating toward a Carl role with her. Because I'll say this, and I'm not saying this to piss off the Carl fans. I could not have seen Carl's character or Chandler as the lead on the show. I never saw Chandler as comic book Carl. And when I went back, I knew there were some holes in it, and as I went back and read the comics, I thought, man, comic book Carl is a badass. I mean, they needed to do that. But he just didn't do it. I mean, it didn't feel like the part to me. See, the price of iron, and that's what I'm thinking. I think Judy is my video game Clementine. Because, boy, did I like Lee. And boy, did I like Clementine. Boy, did I like Kenny. Those characters in a video game were very powerful. And I think Judy could be Carl, but also be in that Clementine type of role. Look, I know there's some Carl fans out there, and I'm not just trying to, upset you guys, but that's my take on it. Feel free to disagree. Scott Kernan says, feel as if they need to give her a story arc in S9. Well, Scott, I think they will. But, look, you just lost two of the major characters on the show. So we know why they're pushing the Whisperers on there. They've got to keep us preoccupied with danger. Judy's story, I think, is going to be a great story. But they didn't plan for Rick to leave. They didn't plan for Maggie to leave. It happened. It was the hand that they were dealt. So they had to play the next best card, and it's like, hey, people really want to see the Whispers. Let's push this through and get them hyped up about that. And they did, and I think it's worked. And as you know, they're going to realize their fans are going to stay fans. The real fans are going to stay fans. And once we get through this Whisper story, that's why I'm kind of thinking out loud with what Judy becomes. Trouble Down Productions, last prediction of the night. Luke, Connie, Kelly, Ezekiel, Rosita, Alden, DJ, and 6 random members of each community, all on Pikes in episode 16. I'm going to give you Luke, Kelly, Ezekiel, Rosita, Alden, and DJ of the ones you named. Not going to give you Connie. I think Connie has a future on the show. And yeah, I mean, that's part of the reason. One, I like Connie's character. Number two, I think it's really cool to have a deaf character on the show that can sense and feel. Number three, I think Connie is the one who picks up the baby that the Whisperers leave. And it's not, typically there's kind of lashback and somebody will say, no, TV's not going to kill someone with a disability. I think The Walking Dead will kill whoever they want to kill. And that's not the reason. The reason is because I think it's going to be neat to show Father G, one, is partially blind, and how the world looks through people with different challenges. And with Connie, I think she's going to bring a different element to the show, and I do think the baby might be kind of a clue that she'll survive it. But maybe Yumiko. Maybe they break up the Yumiko-Magna relationship. Because, look, that would break up the Alden-Enid relationship. It would break up the Ezekiel-Kara relationship. It'd break up several. And one thing about The Walking Dead is, they show you these relationships and then they kill them off. And then they show you and they kill them off. So, yeah, I think I'd say Connie's safe and Yumiko is not. Why is it when I predict someone could die, immediately I just get like a whole rash of people saying, no, not Yumiko, I like her. It doesn't matter who we like. I want you guys to understand that. The amount of like you have for a new character has no relevance on whether or not there's a possibility they could die. And if I predict that they're going to die, it doesn't mean that I dislike them. That's not the way it works. Luke's gone. Yeah, Jerry as well. And the last point that I want to leave with you guys, because we've almost hit that. So, as we talk more and more about this Michonne situation and whether Negan could go in and save the day. So I guess we weren't quite finished talking about Michonne last night. The reason why I ask you if you think it's a real sad moment is because sad moments, as much as a lot of people say, if such and such dies, I won't watch the show again, a lot of times people watch for those sad moments. It's why they go to see a horror movie, and a lot of people usually die in horror movies. Sometimes it's not to see who's going to survive. Sometimes it is to see who's going to die. And when it's an average moment, in my mind, like Carl's was, I think it advanced the story, but the Carl death didn't affect me at all. The Glenn death definitely did. It bothered me. A Michonne death would bother me. Don't know how the story would pan out, but it would be the type of thing, and I say it, that would be epic, and I would want those people taken down in the worst possible way. The Whisperers have to do something. If they kill Luke, that don't mean nothing to me. Okay, sorry Luke died. Barely knew you, Luke. They killed DJ. Whatever. DJ was a nice bodyguard. Don't really care. Yumiko. I like Yumiko. Whatever. She hasn't been on the show that long to live without her. Rosita. Yes. Rosita would be something that would hit home a little bit. I honestly think Ezekiel, even though Rosita's been there longer, I think because of Ezekiel's character, Ezekiel might bother me a little bit more. But if Jesus is a barometer for the show, there weren't a lot of people weeping in tears that Jesus died. It was like, what I heard more than anything else was, they didn't develop the character enough, and it was epic. He was kind of badass the way he took some people down. Michonne would be a Glenn moment. Michonne would be a Herschel moment. And I just want to say to everybody, prepare for one of those moments. One of those moments is going to come down in the second half. The Whispers have to be that evil. They cannot be average evil. Because if they are, it'll be one of the greatest travesties in the history of the show. Is not making... You got the opportunity to make this group so hated that fans are going to want to beg Negan back. They're going to want people to be on that side. And if they water it down, they're going to miss a big opportunity. As much as I don't want to see it happen. So, that is my story. And we're going to wind this thing down. I want to thank you for being a fantastic audience, as you always are. I'm going to ask one more time. Those people that are in the stream, pike that like button. People out doing deliveries, people at work, they got us playing in the background. Did this hour fly by quick or what? That is super, super fast. So you guys are absolutely amazing. I'm going to try to make up for... last night was a little early exit for obvious reasons. We had a few unwanted visitors in our stream. But tonight, you guys are absolutely amazing. So I do want to start out, and if you're watching the playback, this is the closing credits. I'm going to do some shout-outs like we do. And I'm going to start with the Patreons. You guys see in upper top left-hand corner. Ton of Patreon supporters. Unbelievable support we have for this channel. I think we're up to like 72. We're going to push. I think we're going to be at 100 Patreons before we get to the end of the Walking Dead season. So if you guys are interested in supporting the channel, there's a link down below. Also the sponsors in the top right-hand corner. You can see there in green, you got Wilson, Villar, Jason, Walking Dead Nerd, a few. They are the first and the last sponsors because it is currently turned off and you can't join as a sponsorship. So if you guys do want to become a sponsor, I'm just going to ask you to become a Patreon instead. And also to the moderators, Emmy, Steph, Tommy, Kells, always a wonderful job. They are fantastic. Show some love for the moderators. And we got a lot of super chatters tonight. Super Chat Central was going on. So let me give a shout out to a lot of our super chatters that come in and just spice up the conversation. So we got Scott Kernan, active as always. Scott, thank you so much for what you do, my man. Beta, the Chosen One, brand new name. Same awesome Beta, or same awesome Chosen One. Villar, thank you so much. Appreciate you being here. Hippo with the H-bomb. Not only is he he super chatted it, but he's going to be at Walker Stalker, and also he's talking about getting a 999 tattoo. That is some serious dedication. Michael Curie, thank you so much. Matt Moore, William Finney, Kay Hensley, Kitty Cat, Trouble Down Productions, multiple predictions tonight. Thank you so much for that. Steve Smitherman, Julie J, Randy Walden, multiple, Julie McGuire, American Pride, lots of super chats as well. Eric Beach, thank you. Thomas D, and who else we got? Some other extras. We got American Pride and Trouble Down and Scott with a few more. So thank you so much. And to everybody else that is still here, if you're new, hit the subscribe button. And this is just something I do at the end of every video, and I will always do it whether we have 5 viewers or 5 million viewers. If we have 10 subscribers or 10 million subscribers, I will never, ever, ever forget all of you who make this channel what it is today. And just give me a quick 999. I can't always get everybody, but I am going to jump around as much as we can and say thank you to anybody who types 999. Logan 5, thank you so much. Tony Arovio, Jacob Prunier, Delmarva 1971, the Catnat, Dana Finkler, Ron Burgundy Moore, Rachel the Army Brat, thank you. SpongeBob Steve, Alex Rodriguez, Jeff, Tommy V, Nothing But Nerd, Jonathan Jordan, Brian Hayes, Samantha Coombs, Tanya Watson, Kevin Stover, thank you. Gamma, thank you, repping the Whispers. Cheryl Lee, thank you. Bumblebee Brown. Dan Berendez, DDA Ohio. Dark Stark Killer, thank you. Sarah Drumheller, appreciate you being here. Colleen Hayes, thank you so much, Colleen. Captain Graves, Leanne Gash, thank you, Leanne. Pickles, thank you, Pickles. Julie J. Marcia Cooper, thank you. Lady Luther as well. Trevor Cyril, I'm trying, Trevor. Eric C., have a good night. Mystics, have a good night as well. Alexander Raffini, Space Engine Chill, have a good night. Crystal the Singer Chick. Ziglet, Justin Barrett, have a good night. Gina Crockett. Villar, Wilson. Jason the Mixologist. Special shout out for Pete D, Dolphin Smooth, Lisa Khaleesi, Mandy, have a good night. Deborah Johnson, thank you. Stefanella, have a good night. Brandon Burns, thank you, man. Kimberly G, and my other Kimberly G, Sam B. Mitch True, have a good night. Thank you, Mitch. Anton, thank you. Do you think Dwight will return? Absolutely, Anton. Matthew Trierney, thank you. Have a good night. RJ Guerrero, pike in the like button. Thank you, Sheila Mack. Have a good night as well. Graylin 28, what's up? Dakota Page. Tammy Heitzman, thank you. Newfeld 12. 1189 Paris. Would like to see Dwight in the Rick Grimes movies. That'd be an interesting wrinkle. Francine, thank you, Francine. Los Toco. I'm trying. You know what? I'm going to mess up a lot of names, but it's the effort and it's the heart that counts. Have a good night, Christina Goddard. Thank you. Kim Ames, thank you. Lots of Kims. Robin Vance, have a good night. And Pete D as well. Where's my Pete D at? Rubelo's channel. Oh, Rubelo, I'm going to say no. Only because of the contract. It was publicized. She signed a 3-year deal. So I think that gives her. Robert Frank, thank you so much, my man. Appreciate that. C. Crike, thank you so much. You have a good evening, too. Tammy Hill, thank you. All right, everybody. If I missed you in a shout out for any reason at all, screen moves really fast. Donnie Thompson, thank you. I'll try to catch you guys in tomorrow night's stream. Never take it personally. I love each and every one of you. You guys are great. Thank you for everything you do for the channel. And we will do this again tomorrow night at 9:30. Random Things should kick back off next week. If not, it'll definitely be the week after. But I'm still working on some things. But we might see that as early as Tuesday. So we'll see you all tomorrow night, 9:30. Have a good night. Peace.